Hello, old chap. My name's Sophie, and welcome to part 2 of a review and summary of the book Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. Now, this is the second book in the Throne of Glass series, and in this video I'm going to be picking up where I left off, which was at the end of the first part of the book, The King's Champion, and we were just about to start the second half of the book, The Queen's Arrow, which starts on chapter 30, page 233. Now, I'm going to start off with a super quick, mega speedy catch up on what's been going on in this series so far, but if you do want a more in-depth summary analysis review situation, I have got 3 videos on the first book, Throne of Glass, and 1 video so far on the first half of Crown of Midnight. I'm going to link all of those videos below if you do want to watch them first, and then you can hop back over here and we can get back into the rest of the summary for this book. Also, just a disclaimer, this video is going to have spoilers from book 1 and the first half of book 2. So if you haven't read book 1 and you also haven't read the first half of book 2 or the second half, because that's what I'm going to be reviewing this time, go and read them. What are you doing? Go and read them and then come back and we can discuss. Then we can yap about them. But if you're ready to get into some spoilers and some crazy stuff, let's do it. Hold on. Before we get into the fun stuff, we need to go through the trigger warnings. The trigger warnings are all the same as they were in the first half of the book, but I am going to put them here and read them out just so that we're all clear on what we're getting ourselves into and what's going to be going on in this second half of the book. Okay, the trigger warnings for Crown of Midnight, according to the trigger warning database, are forced servitude and slavery, misogyny, classism, persecution for witchcraft, mentioned, forced sex work, child abuse, cheating, trauma and nightmares, attempted suicide, suicidal ideation, alcohol consumption, graphic and gore, vomiting, bodies, decapitation, grief and loss, death of a partner, death of parents, death of a friend, murder and attempted murder, and imprisonment. The list has not got any shorter. So, if any of those are not sitting well with you today, if they're not making you feel good in your tummy, then that is totally fine. Hop off the video. We'll see you in another one. No hard feelings here. Protect yourself, protect your peace, protect your mental state. But if we're all good to go, we're all clear on what we're getting ourselves into, let's jump into our summary of our summary of our summary. Let's go. Book 1. Celaena Sardothian, Adelin's assassin and the best to ever do it. She is in the salt mines of Endovia, serving life, when she is freed by Dorian the Prince and Kael the Captain of the Guard, under the condition that she goes with them to the ugly glass castle in Adelin to take part in a competition against a bunch of other criminals to become the evil king's champion and do all of his dirty deeds. Because Celaena is the best to ever do it, this is not a problem for her. While in the castle, she befriends Nehemia, the Princess of Ilway, which is one of the many, many kingdoms that the evil king of Adelin has enslaved and taken over. She also gets pretty close to Kael, and she starts making out with Dorian on the side. Just keeping it interesting. To keep it even more interesting, she then discovers a secret passageway in her bedroom. What? Which leads to the long-forgotten tomb of 2 long-ago rulers of Adelin, King Gavin and Queen Elena. And then Elena appears to her in a non-dream kind of dream situation, and she gives Celaena an amulet and also the side quest to find and destroy the evil lurking in the castle. It turns out this evil came in the form of Cain, one of Celaena's fellow competitors. And throughout the competition, Cain has been systematically unaliving other champions by summoning a creature called the Ridorak. Now, he's been summoning this Ridorak using magical symbols called word marks. And these word marks are separate from your typical magic. The king actually banned magic 10 years ago. And after he banned magic disappeared altogether. So I'm not quite sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing that the word marks still work, but they do. And Cain's using them. And the reason he's been summoning this Ridorak is because in exchange for Cain providing the Ridorak with food, the Ridorak gives Cain the champion's strength. Basically, the Ridorak is eating the champion, and then Cain gets that champion's strength. Cool? Cool. Okay. Celaena discovers this a few days before the final duel, and she defeats the Ridorak. Woo! But when Cain and Celaena face each other during the final duel, because of course they face each other, it was always going to be the two of them, Cain's sponsor, Duke Perrington, who is also a close advisor to the evil king, enlists the help of Caltaine, who was a snake after Dorian's hand in marriage, to poison Celaena to ensure that Cain wins. Foul play. And this does nearly work, because on top of being poisoned, Cain then reveals that he actually has a secret demon army under his control that only he and Celaena can see. Throw another spanner into the works, why don't we? However, just as Celaena gives up, all hope is lost, she has accepted her fate. Nehemia uses the word marks, because she can use the word marks, to summon Elena, and Elena appears through the portal and she banishes the demons and then sucks the poison out of Celaena's body, so Celaena is able to beast mode Cain and she wins the competition. Cain is a very bad loser, however, because he then tries to stab Celaena in the back, literally. But luckily, Cale sees and he jumps in front of Cain and he takes Cain out instead. Ooh, thanks, Cale. You're a real one. Harrington then pins the poisoning on Caltaine, so she gets sent to the dungeons. And to finish off the book, Celaena breaks up with Dorian and she signs the contract that makes her officially the king's champion. And the king threatens to unalive everyone that she loves, including Cale and Nehemia, if she does not do exactly as he says. And that is the first book. How efficient was that? On to book 2, Crown of Midnight. Here we go. We enter. Celaena has been the Kale? Not the Kale. She's not been the Kale. At the beginning of Crown of Midnight, Celaena has been the king's champion for a couple of months now, but she has not been unaliving any of the targets that the king has been giving her. He is completely unaware of this. He gives her her new target. His name is Archer, and it turns out Celaena knows Archer, or she knew Archer a long time ago, because while Celaena was training in the Assassin's Keep to become the best way to do it, Archer was also training in the Assassin's Keep to protect himself, because he is a very popular gentleman of the night, if you know what I mean. And while they were training in the same vicinity, Celaena had a massive crush on Archer. Aww. Now, at the beginning of the book, there's quite a lot of tension between Celaena and Dorian, because obviously they broke up at the end of the last book, they're not making out anymore, and Dorian's super heartbroken. He's starting to think that Celaena was manipulating him to use his power as the king's son for her protection. And obviously we know that this isn't true, but Dorian does not, so they're on rocky ground right now. Celaena and Cale, however, are getting super close. And there's definitely a vibe there. If you know what I'm saying. There's also some tension between Celaena and Nehemia, because Nehemia really wants Celaena to help her plot against the king and spy and all that jazz, but Celaena is not up for it at all. She does not want to be a part of it. And so Nehemia is feeling rather morally conflicted about her friendship with Celaena. And I get it. Anyway, Celaena and Archer go on a date. Cute, where she reveals that she has been sent to unalive him. Not so cute. They come to an agreement that Celaena will give Archer a month to get his affairs in order, and during that month, he will feed her information about a supposed rebel group that he knows of through his clients. He is not a part of this rebel group, supposedly. And then at the end of the month, he will fake his unaliving and move far away. He also invites Celaena to a ball at a potential rebel's house, and she discovers a riddle in this guy's office. Yeah! The riddle says, "It is only with the eye that one can see rightly," or something along those lines. And then Celaena is promptly poisoned by the dude whose house she is in. Not so great. She manages to get back to the castle and to Cale's room. Cale freaks out, then he gets her the antidote and she's fine. It's all good. Nobody panic. During the first half of this book as well, tension is rising between Dorian and Cale, because Dorian is still very upset about Celaena, and Cale is still very much crushing on Celaena. And so Dorian is aware of this and is annoyed about it. There's trouble in bro paradise. Celaena spots a freaky creature outside the library, so naturally she goes looking for answers about said freaky creature in the library. She instead finds a secret door that leads to a second secret library under the regular first library. And within this second secret library, she discovers a locked iron door with no visible keyhole. However, she uses her noggin and decides to check it out later when she has more weapons. Later has not happened yet. Nehemia eventually nags Selena enough about standing up to the king that Selena caves and admits to her that she has not unalived any of the people that she was supposed to be unaliving, and then also lets Nehemia in on all of the knowledge that she has gained over the past book and a half. So they head down to the secret passageway, and Selena introduces Nehemia to her new bestie, Mort, who is a sentient door knocker.
Wow.
Mort's a sassy king, and we love him. While in the tomb, they also discover a hole in the wall, which is in the shape of an eyeball, and using her mahusive brain, Selena somehow connects the riddle that she found in that rebel guy's office to the eye hole in the wall, and thinks, they must be linked. However, the Eye of Elena, which is her amulet, does not fit in the hole in the wall. So we've kind of hit a wall with that one. Dorian discovers he has magic.
Oh my god!
There's some new information for you. He has a temper tantrum during a council meeting, and he storms off, punches a wall, and the wall cracks, and then a window smashes. Which, I don't know if you've ever punched a wall, but generally that's not what happens.
Wow.
So he's now trying to discover where that's come from, and what that means for him. Nothing good, I'm sure. The king then informs Kale of a threat to Nehemia's life, but he orders Kale not to tell anyone. And because Kale is an idiot, he listens, and he does not tell anyone. This does backfire later. Dorian's brat brother Holland comes home from school for a bit, so naturally they set up a whole carnival in his honour. And here we meet Baba Yellowlegs, who is an old Iron Teeth witch. The Iron Teeth witches are one of two groups of witches. You've got the Iron Teeth, who are evil, and the Crocans, who are nice. And the Iron Teeth unalived all of the Crocans and then stole their land. But now they can't live on the land because the Crocans cursed the land so that it would never produce anything. So the Iron Teeth witches are kind of just homeless now, even though they wiped out an entire other race of witches just for their land. So it's a whole situation. Anyways, we don't hear any more from Baba Yellowlegs right now, but she is relevant later. Then it's Kale's birthday. Selena plans this lovely surprise dinner, and it's nice and it's special, and this is when she decides it will be the perfect time to come out and tell Kale that she has not been unaliving any of the people that she's supposed to be unaliving. He freaks out, then they start making out, and then they go back to Selena's room and smash. So now they're secretly dating. Crazy stuff. This marks the beginning of a beautiful relationship, which lasts about a week total. And during this time, they bang in a closet, and then Selena and Nehemia have a huge fight because Nehemia wants to do something to act against the king, but Selena does not want any part of it because she thinks that Nehemia is just gonna be unalived. And then Nehemia has a very ominous conversation with a mysterious queen who is 100% Elena, in which they discuss two mysterious people who are obviously Selena and Dorian, and they discuss ominous things like breaking the two of them, but then Dorian's not ready to be broken, so they have to break Selena instead. And I'm thinking, why do we need to break Selena? Let's not. The king then informs Kel that he's going to have Nehemia questioned in the council chamber tomorrow night, but not to tell anyone. And so Kel doesn't tell anyone, and this backfires on him. It backfires, because then he gets kidnapped. And when Selena goes to rescue Kale, she finds out that it's the rebel group that she's been trying to find out information about that kidnapped Kale, and Archer is a part of this rebel group. I thought you weren't a part of this rebel group, Archer. What the heck, bro? And it turns out not only Archer has been involved in this rebel group, but also Nehemia is involved in this rebel group, and they've been leading this rebel group together. And then Archer tells Selena what Kale hasn't been telling Selena about the whole there's a threat to Nehemia's life, and that the king's supposedly questioning Nehemia in the council chamber tonight, except that the king is not going to be questioning Nehemia in the council chamber tonight. At least according to Archer, he's not, and apparently Kale was aware of this. So Selena sprints mad fast, absolute top speed. Nobody's ever been as fast as this girl. Back to the castle, only to find out that she is too late and Nehemia has been unalived. And that is it. That's the end of the first half of the second book. Is everyone up to date? Did we take all of that in? I don't know if I took all that in, but we will move onwards. That's my summary of my summary of my summary. And now let's get into the summary of the second half. Woo! Who's ready for the Queen's Arrow? I am terrified, because the end of the last video was literally Selena standing in Nehemia's room and looking at her brutally unalived body. So I feel we're starting very low. We're starting possibly as bad as we could possibly get. So brace yourselves and let's get into it. Part 2, The Queen's Arrow, Chapter 30. Selena's just standing there, staring at Nehemia's unalived, mutilated body. Oh, that's rough. And Dorian, who followed her there after she sprinted past him, with all of his guards as well, they're all standing there gaping. One of them pukes in a corner. But he steps in front of her to try and block her view. He's crying, bless him. And Selena wipes away his tears and then just ominously slides her nails down his throat in a I'm considering unaliving you kind of way.
Oh my.
Kale steps up and he's like, what are you doing? What's going on? And he's gonna wish he didn't do that because she turns around and throws herself at him. This is not great. And luckily we hop straight into Kale's POV just as she does throw herself at him. Great. And she does literally try and unalive him. She's pretty mad, and he does try to tell her to stop, but she has transformed into an unaliving machine designed to enact vengeance. So it's not working out so well for him right now. And Kel's all like, Selena, stop this. I'm your friend. Please don't unalive me. And Selena says, you will never be my friend. You will always be my enemy. With pure venom in her voice. Decades worth of just hatred underlying those words, He's pretty taken aback by this, and at this point, she's on top of him with a stabby thing. She is about to stab him. Her saying those words kind of shocks him enough that he slips and his hold loosens enough that she is able to push it down those last couple of inches, and just as she is about to end this man, something stops her. And Kale can see that she's stopped and she doesn't want to stop. It's like she's been stopped by some magical force, but that can't be possible because magic no longer exists here. Right? But anyway, this distracts Selena enough for one of Kale's guards to be able to just clock her over the head. And she's knocked out on the floor. That was a close one, Kale. This is really sad though, obviously. Devastating for Selena that her best friend is no longer with us. And also that she was clearly unalived in a very unpleasant way. And it's also even more devastating because the last words they said to each other were not kind. We're adding another layer of trauma to the trauma pile for Selena. We don't know what's going to happen with it yet, but I will be very surprised if her and Kale manage to work through this. So not only has it taken her best friend away from her, but it's also taken her lover, Kale, who also was her best friend. She's lost both of them in the span of an hour. And to know that if Kale had told her, she could have prevented it, I just fear there's no coming back for this. And she also did just try to unalive him, so I think he probably is going to be a bit wary of her now as well. So she is going through it right now, and I feel for her. Moving into chapter 31, we're in Dorian's POV now, and he's gone down to the dungeons with Kale to deposit Selena in a cell. I do understand though, she did just lose her rag and try to unalive various important people, but still, harsh. Kale gently places Selena in a cell next to Kaltain and is like, don't speak to her, don't look at her, don't touch her. And I think, put her in a cell a bit further away if you're worried. No? Or are they all full? I don't know about your dungeon situation, man, but surely if you were that concerned about them conspiring or, I don't know, Kaltain pinching her too hard, surely you would put her slightly further away. Now's not the time. I'm sorry. You've all gone through something very traumatic. I will keep my mouth shut about it. Dorian and Kale get halfway back up the stairs, and it all hits Kale, and he plops down onto a step, head in hands. And Dorian feels super bad for him because I know they've had their issues recently. We've had tension between the two of them, but they are best friends. So he asks Kale what happened, and Kale fills him in on all the kidnapping and all that debacle. So that's nice. I feel like they've had a bit of bonding, especially because they're both in the poo-poo with Selena right now. This is good for them, really. Their relationships with Selena might have gone down the drain, but their friendship is being restored. Dorian also informs Kale that his father could not have been the one to unalive Nehemia, because at the time that it happened, he was having dinner with his dad. So That's a pretty solid alibi. The king had told Dorian that after dinner he was going to go and question Nehemia, so he hadn't even questioned her yet. However, this does not mean that the king was not indirectly responsible. He could well have hired someone to unalive her, but he himself was not the one to do it. I do think it's crazy that Selena went to try and find Kale at just gone 10, because it got to 10 and she was like, it's getting a bit late, where is Kale? So she had headed down to his rooms to try and find him. If Dorian was on his way back to his rooms from dinner when Selena sped past him, then he was coming back from dinner at like 11 p.m. No? That is late to be having dinner. What time do these people eat their food? Like, that's my bedtime. I'm not judging. That's pretty crazy to me. Anyway, enough of that. Neither of them have any other ideas of who might be responsible, so they're stumped on this one. We've got no answers for now. Moving on, we then get a Selena POV, and she has just woken up in the dungeons, and Caltain's all like, hey girl, what a surprise seeing you here. Just kidding, I always knew you'd end up in here. Rude. What the heck, girl? Selena currently has zero regrets for trying to unalive Kale, and she 100% believes that if she sees him again, she will finish the job. So I'm thinking their relationship's probably over. It was short, sweet, and it ended violently. I feel this quote pretty much sums up her state of mind. She had nothing left to give. After she'd lost Sam and been sent to Endovia, she'd pieced herself back together in the bleakness of the mines. And when she'd come here, she'd been foolish enough to think that Kel had put the final piece into place. Foolish enough to think, just for a moment, that she could get away with being happy. Oh, I actually just got a chill. A chill just ran along my spine. She needs so much therapy. Caltain reveals that she will not be in the dungeons for much longer.
Yeah.
Where you going, girl? Well, she's going to this place called Morath with Duke Perrington. They leave in 5 days, and she's gonna marry him. Apparently the king said she could either marry Perrington or stay in the dungeons forever. And me personally, I'm staying in the dungeons forever. I'm making a home. I'll make friends with the rats. We'll have a grand old time. But it's her life. Her choice, you know, you do you, girl. Selena goes to have a little sip of the water that she's got on her cell floor with her, and Caltain informs her that it is good. But Selena just says, good, and chugs it.
Huh.
We like to drink with Selena, because Selena is army. You know? If you went to university in England, you would get it. I'm traumatized. Anyways, she spends the next 3 days in the dungeons, being haunted by Nehemia's last words to her, and drinking the water. Ugh. Kale POV. On the morning of the 4th day that Selena is in the dungeons, he goes to bring her back to her rooms, because he feels super bad for leaving her in there. Over the past 4 days, the castle has been going crazy, trying to find out who unalived Nehemia, but the king does not seem that fussed at all. He's just like, eh. And this does make Kel pretty angry. Interesting, he's mad at the king. What the heck? It's the first time for everything.
Wow.
Yeah, he's feeling a lot of resentment because he knows why the king isn't bothered about Nehemia's unaliving. Like, he knows that he's just thinking, cool, one less thing I have to do. You know, she was going to start making too much noise at some point and I was going to have to do it, so someone's just done it for me. Great.
Ew.
He did tell Kale to get Selena in line, and that was it. We got off with this pretty lightly, you know? It could have been a lot worse. But the king wasn't fussed. He was like, get her in line, I guess. You're still alive. Off you go. And Kale has been going through it the last 4 days. He's really beating himself up over not telling Selena about the threat to Nehemia's life. And he does know that he's ruined their relationship. He's thinking, oh. And I too am beating him up. In my mind. You did this to yourself, Kale. He'd realised it the moment Selena had turned to him in Nehemia's bedroom. He had lost her, and she would never, in 1,000 lifetimes, let him in again. No. No, she will not. Selena did leave her mark on Kale, though. He has 3 mega mahoosive scratches down his face from where she, like, clawed at him as she was trying to take him out in Nehemia's bedroom.
Oh my.
We also find out that the king has summoned a bunch of, like, lords and important people from around the kingdom to the castle to, like, help sort out this diplomatic mess, because Nehemia was a princess. She did get unalived under the king's watch, you know? This could go quite badly for the king. So he's summoned all these important people, including Kale's estranged father. So Kale is not looking forward to that interaction. He's feeling pretty apprehensive, and I don't blame him. His father did basically disown him, so they're not besties. Good luck, Kale. So we've got a princess was unalived under your watch. Your girlfriend hates you now and wants you unalived. And your estranged father who disowned you when you were younger is coming to visit, and now you probably have to see him. Great. 3 for 3, though. They always say bad things come in threes, so hopefully he's done his 3. Maybe it only goes up from here, Kale. Huh? We get a little update on how Dorian is doing after this whole situation, and he is in his political activist era, and I am living for it. It would appear that when one of these dudes is on the up, the other one is on the down, and Kale is on the down right now, but Dorian is on the up. He sent a personal letter to Nehemia's parents apologizing for the whole situation, which is the least he could do, really, but I don't think the king was going to do that. He's been fighting and battling in the courtroom about all of these policies and to protect the rebels and all this stuff. He's doing all of that. And he is thinking, he had spent so long being careful to avoid defying his father, but what sort of man could he call himself if he blindly obeyed? Now, what an interesting thought, Dorian, because that's exactly what Kale has been doing this whole time. Someone needs to inform that guy of that sentiment. That's the exact reason why Kale didn't tell Selena. He was blindly obeying. And what sort of man can he call himself now? A stupid one. But not Dorian. Not anymore. He has his own critical thoughts. And we love that for him. Dorian is panicking slightly because he's very aware that he needs to learn to control these magical powers. Because, I don't know if anyone clocked it, but you know earlier when Selena tried to unalive Kale and just as she was about to, get him, something stopped her, as if by magic. Well, that was Dorian. That was our boy. And as much as he is chuffed that he somehow managed to do that, he has no idea how, and he has no idea how he would stop himself from magically exploding if another situation like that were to arise. And obviously he doesn't want to be doing that in front of his dad, because if he did, his dad would have him. So naturally he's thinking, ooh, I gotta learn to control this, because that was great, but it could be less great next time. We then head back to Selena. She's been in her Bella Swan from the second Twilight film when Edward leaves, and she sits in that chair for months and just stares out the window era. That's the era of her life that she's been in. She's been marinating in that chair. The camera's been spinning around her, and the seasons have been changing. It hasn't been that. But anyway, while she's been marinating in her chair, she has realized that the person who unalived Nehemia must have been Grave. To jog everyone's memories, Grave is one of the other champions that she had competed against in the competition, the assassin who she fought against in the final duel of the first book. The one who she demolished in a matter of seconds and then dropped her handkerchief on his chest like it was a microphone. She knows this for a multitude of reasons, including the fact that the unaliving style was very like his, and also the person came from outside of the castle, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, she's the best to ever do it. We trust her. We know that she knows it's definitely Grave. And this realization gives her the motivation to finally stand up out of her chair. She has ended her Bella Swan era, and she has entered her second era of vengeance. We had the first one when Kale was taken, we've entered the second one, except this one is probably going to be worse. So, filled with her newfound desire for vengeance, Selena heads off to find Grave. And she begins her search at a shady, shady pub, because she knows that he'll be in a shady, shady pub, spending all the cash that he earned from unaliving Nehemia, because he definitely got paid the big bucks. In this shady pub, she heads up to the barkeep guy, and she warps her voice so that she sounds like a man. She's got a big hood on and a mask situation, and she's like, where's Grave? Not really like that, but that's kind of the point. He instantly recognizes that she is Adlin's assassin, the best to ever do it. Clearly nobody else is doing it like she is. And this guy is quaking in his boots. And after a little bit of intimidation, a little bit of bribery, he tells her where Grave is, and she heads off to make him pay. And I don't mean with cash. Honey, you got a big storm coming. Then we get our first ever grave point of view. We've never been here before, and I can't say that I ever want to be here again because this guy is slimy. Ooh, I don't know. There's something about his mind that is just, it's just icky and gross, and I don't know, the way that he thinks is just horrifying. He's just so like misogynistic, just immediately in his own brain. He's just putting Selena down. He's calling her, you know, all these horrible words, and he's just, ugh, get me out of here. It's okay though, because he's running away. And we know who he's running from. I don't even have to tell you who he's running from, because he's a little bitch. Which is exactly what he was calling Selena. But funny thing is she's the one chasing him. As predicted, he had been spending the money in a shady pub. Selena turned up, he took one look at her, and he was running out of there like a wuss. And this is what I hate about him. Because despite his obvious cowardice and fear for his life, because if he wasn't afraid for his life, then he wouldn't be running. No. Despite this, he's still delusional enough to believe that he will be able to come out on top of this. He is clearly still pretty bitter about her win and how she roasted him alive, metaphorically, at the duel. And he wants to make her pay. He's so angry. I'm sorry, I don't know what that was. Give myself the ick, damn. He'd make his final stand in a quiet street. There, he would take out the bullet strapped to his skin and make her pay for the way she'd humiliated him in the competition. The way she had sneered at him. The way she'd broken his nose and tossed her handkerchief onto his chest. Haughty, stupid bitch.
Wow.
I, however, am not quite convinced that he's going to be able to make her pay as effectively as he seems to think he will be able to. Because his next sentence is, he staggered as he rounded a corner, his breath ragged and raw. This man is out of breath after running a couple of blocks. She ran from this warehouse, like on the far side of the freaking city, all the way back to the freaking castle, and she was barely even winded, and she was full sprinting it. Okay, you don't stand a chance, man. I wouldn't stand a chance either. Like, I'm no shame, but he thinks he's going to be able to win this, and I'm just saying, you're not. You gotta respect the delusion, though, and we do. He realizes that he is at a dead end, and he's like, great. You know, I'll make her pay. Here, this is where I'll make my stand. I'll get her now. But even as he's thinking this, he is actively, like, looking around at the walls to see if there's anything he can climb to escape. So, I fear the delusion is fading even for him right now. Anyway, he's starting to think he's lost her, actually, because she's still not appeared. So he's thinking like, idiot, she's a terrible assassin. I outran her easily. No. But then she emerges from the mist, with her cloak billowing behind her, like in a film, you know, so cinematic. And Grave double checks the walls. He double checks just to make sure there's definitely no escape. And there isn't. He's definitely not scared though. No way. He's not scared. He's gonna make her pay big time. Big time. She's gonna pay. And he's like, rah, and he rushes her, and she just immediately disarms him. Boom, he's on the floor, and she's like sliced his ankles or something. What a noob. I fear he's done for. Like, that was it. He is still clinging to the delusions, though. Whatever helps you cope, buddy. Because even though he literally cannot walk, even as he's dragging himself away, backwards, trying to escape her, he's like, I'm gonna make her pay. I'll get it. I'll get her, raw. She does cut him up a bit, you know, she slices and dices, and she's not slicing and dicing food. For a little bit of persuasion to try and find out who hired him. Who hired you? She asked, her voice like gravel. To do what? He asked, almost sobbing. Maybe he could feign innocence. He could talk his way out, convince this arrogant he had nothing to do with it.
Ew.
Bro, you are literally at her mercy, and you're still insulting her. Please live in your delusions. You just can't accept that she is better than you. And isn't that real? All I'm going to say is he's clearly forgotten that she is the best to ever do it, and this is his reminder. Alas, feigning innocence does not work, nor does bribery, and eventually she just grabs one of his chubby little fingies and threatens to remove it from his body. And that's enough for him. He does piss himself, and then he does tell her everything. So he didn't put up much of a fight, really, did he? He talked a big talk, but he could not walk the walk. Heading into chapter 36. Yeah, it's Dorian's POV, and he is in a council meeting, and he is on the verge of a Menti B when Selena busts in, holding Graves' head. It's like the beginning of the book all over again, except she did take this one out. That certainly changed the mood, though. We've gone from near Menti B to near vomiting in a matter of seconds. The king is like, what the hell? But Selena heads over to one of the councilmen, whose name is Mollison. He was Graves' sponsor at the competition. And she just plops the head down onto his stack of papers and says, I believe this belongs to you. Oh, got him. Mollison's all like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. Why have you put this head on my papers? But Selena's all like, well, Graves said you did. So, meh. And it does make sense that Mollison is the one who hired Graves to unalive Nehemia. Because as I just said, Mollison was Graves' sponsor in the competition in the previous book. And Nehemia had apparently recently had a public argument with Mollison. But I just wonder, this is seeming a little bit too obvious. Right, my money's still on the king, having done this, and then just pinning it on Mollison. Ow. My hair's stuck in my ring. Dorian is just absolutely gobsmacked by her behaviour. He is flabbergasted at what is occurring right now. Dorian could only stare at her. This was different from the feral creature she'd become the night Nehemia had. What she was right now, the edge on which she was balancing. Word helped them all. But then Kale was at her chair, grasping her elbow. What the hell do you think you're doing? Selena looked up at him and smiled sweetly. Your job, apparently. Oh, sick burn. Unfortunately, I fear that Selena has gone a little bit cray-cray. Selena then swaggers back out the way she came, and Mollison is taken away to the dungeons. Womp womp. After this, Selena heads over to Archer's house. I wonder how this is gonna go. He's resting after taking that arrow to the shoulder to save her. Very kind of him. He does apologize for the whole situation and tries to explain why they kidnapped Kale and that they wanted to show Selena that they couldn't trust him, blah blah blah. And this all seems very stupid to me, but whatever. Archer promptly tries to recruit her into his rebel group, and she's like, no way. You lied to me, you kidnapped my boyfriend, and you also prevented me from possibly saving my best friend by removing me from the proximity of the castle. So no, I will not be joining your rebel group. You have 5 extra days to get your shit together, and then I want you gone and I never want to see you again. And that is valid. So that's our little Archer situation update. Now we head in for another Kale update, and unfortunately for him, he is currently having breakfast with his father. Yikes. They haven't seen each other in about 10 years, give or take. Awkward. And his dad's first words to him are, the breakfast's getting cold. No, hey son, how have you been for the past 10 years? Wow, you've grown. You were only not even a teenager when I last saw you. That man was not even a teenager when his own father disowned him. Deplorable. We hate you, Kale's dad. I don't even know what this guy's name is, and I don't want to know. I said it. He sucks. I don't care how I feel about Kale right now. He's not my favorite person in the world, but I do not like his dad. This whole exchange is super awkward. His dad's all like, well, are you just gonna sit there or are you gonna say something? What is there to say, to be honest? Because you haven't spoken to your son in 10 years, right? And clearly you don't have that much to yap about other than the temperature of the breakfast, you know? Clearly you don't have that much to say. So what would Kale possibly have to say to you? Thankfully though, Kale is not bothered. He's not bothered by his dad's behavior because he's all like, I don't need his approval. I have the king. Bro. Stop this nonsense, I beg of you. I would rather you still sought your father's approval than the freaking king, who time and again we have said is evil. Why do we still seek his approval? I'm losing my mind. I can't believe that I just defended you in front of your own father, and that's what I get for it. You go, it's okay. I don't need my father's approval. I have the king. I have the king and I'm loyal to him. Right. And how many people is the king unalived? How many? How many, Kale? Goodness me.
Wow.
Anyways, the reason his dad wanted to meet up with him for breakfast is because his mum wants him to come home because she misses him. Oh, you miss your son who you haven't spoken to in 10 years? So sweet. Oh, anyway, sorry, I don't know why his mum's catching strays. I don't think she's really done anything wrong. And Kale's all like, well, do you want me home, father? And his dad does admit that he doesn't miss him, but if Ilway rebels, he will need a strong heir to take over. And Kale's like, well, what about my brother? And his dad's like,
well, he's more of a reader, you know.
okay. However, this backhanded compliment is revoked very quickly when he basically says that Kale's so far up Dorian's arse that he probably would give Kale some favoritism, you know, when he ascends to become the king, which could for sure benefit Aniel, Kale's homeland, if he was to return. So, okay. We only really wanted to use Kale then for the benefits that may come from Dorian and him being close friends, which wouldn't have happened, mind you, if Kale had not stayed in the castle all of those years ago. So really, you should be thanking him, Kale's father, who I don't know the name of and don't want to know the name of. Anyways, Kale's had enough of this. What is it that you really want, father? To protect your people or to use my friendship with Dorian to your gain? Would you throw me in the dungeons if I said both? I hear you like to do that to the people who dare provoke you these days. And then there was that gleam in his eyes that told Kale just how much his father already knew. Perhaps if you do, your woman and I can exchange notes about the conditions. Oh, I hate to say it, but that was a good one, Kale's dad. Oh, hit him right where it hurts, why don't you? Kale's all like, bro, you're not doing a very good job of convincing me to come back right now. Like, I thought you wanted me to come home. This is not a very good technique. And his dad basically just shits on him. He's like,
Son, you're a failure. You basically just started a war by letting the princess of a foreign territory get unalived. Your girlfriend hates you. All that's left for you here is shame. So, I don't really need to convince you, do I?
wow. Blow after blow for Kale right now. Goodness me. And at breakfast, no less. We're not even halfway through the freaking day. Anyway, Kale's had enough of this. He threatens his dad about talking to Selena and then he storms away. Heading into chapter 37. We're back in Selena's point of view, and she is packing up Nehemia's stuff in preparation for the Ilway people coming to collect her body and all of her things. And while she's there, she has a little look at Nehemia's desk, and she spots the same book that was in the house of that Davis guy who poisoned her when she was at that ball. Now, this isn't that surprising because they were in the same group, but on the inside cover, Nehemia had written in word marks that were basic enough for Selena to understand because Nehemia had been teaching her how to read the word marks. So Selena reads these word marks and they say, do not trust. And then they have like this image that looks very, very similar to the royal seal. And Selena's all like, duh, I shouldn't trust the king. She's so silly. Then she flips to the back of the book, and the same riddle that was in Davis's book, it is only with the eye that one can see rightly, that's also written in the back of Nehemia's version of the book, except she'd very obviously been trying to decipher it. Now, this starts Selena spiraling about all of the stuff that Nehemia had been lying to her about and keeping from her, when she suddenly has this light bulb moment and realizes that the eye of Elena is not the only eye that's out there in the world.
Wow.
Funny that. I got two of them. Not the point, that's not what she meant. She means that maybe the riddle is referring to a different eye. Oh, what? This is crazy. What could she possibly mean? Well, we're about to find out, because she heads straight down to the tomb and to that sword that had been in the tomb that belonged to Gavin, right, that she'd used to unalive Grave earlier. It turns out this sword is called Damaris. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm so sorry if I'm not, but that's how it's spelt, sort of. And the meaning of Damaris is the sword of truth. And it has this eye on the pommel. And there was this saying about the sword and Gavin, right, about how he could see only what was right with the eye. or something along those lines. How do we not put these two together? It's okay. It's okay. Better late than never, Selena. It's fine, girl. And obviously the eye in the sword fits the eye on the wall perfectly, and it reveals a poem. Wow! I think I said this earlier, but I am super impressed that Selena even managed to put together the fact that the riddle in Davis's book in this office far away from the castle had anything to do with the eye in the wall of the tomb of two ancient rulers. I would never have connected those dots. Props to Selena that she managed to put two and two together and think, wow, those two must be related to each other, because I could not have done that. Anyway, the poem that is revealed is about 3 objects that were made and then hidden in 3 different places. And it does not make much sense, and Selena also thinks that it does not make much sense, so she asks Mort about it, and like the sassy king that he is, he gives us nothing. But Selena's low-key thinking that she should probably figure out what these things are, because they sound pretty powerful, and she does not want the king to have any access to any of these, you know? And she also doesn't trust Archer and Nehemiah's rebel group to not use them for morally ambiguous activities either. So, she figures maybe her best bet is to find them herself. Is this a potential side quest that I'm sniffing? I don't know. Sounds a bit like one. Anyway, potential new side quest acquired. She goes to head back up the stairs, and about halfway up, she just becomes overwhelmed with life in general. Same girl, same. Kale's been there too, you know? And as she's plopped down on the stairs, having a bit of a minty bee, Elena appears, and she tells Selena that Nehemiah is at peace now. And Selena has a good old cry. Elena hugs her, and it's very wholesome and also sad, but I'm glad that she has someone there to comfort her, you know? That night, Selena goes to do perhaps the hardest and worst of all the things she had done since Nehemiah had... Ominous. She gets all dressed up in this mourning garb. Not mourning as in, morning is broken, you know, but mourning as in, oh, ooh, you know, someone's passed, and I'm mourning them. Kind of mourning, you know? Anyway, she puts on the mourning garb, black dress, black veil, and she goes to visit Nehemiah's grave. Selena gets there, she stands there, and then she starts a-singing. I don't know. While Selena's having a little sing-song, we skip to Kale's POV, and he's watching Selena have a little sing-song. He followed her to Nehemiah's grave, as you do, and he is just befuddled at what's occurring in front of him. Apparently it's not in any language that he knows of. It was not in any language that he knew. Not in the common tongue, or in Ilwe, or in the languages of Fenharrow or Melisande, or anywhere else on the continent. This language was ancient, each word full of power and rage and agony. She did not have a beautiful voice. Oh, bruh. What the hell? Why are we insulting her? Oh, what the heck? The actual context of that was like, she doesn't have a really great voice, but it doesn't matter because it's like so powerful and moving and all that, blah, blah, blah. But still, why are we insulting her? Sit down, you know? You get up there and sing. Come on. She is singing at her bestiana's grave, who's just been unalived, and you low-key could have prevented it. And yet you are insulting her singing voice. Minus a point for Kale. Moving on to chapter 38, we get a Dorian POV. He is being suspicious in the library. And while he's being suspicious in the library, he comes across Selena being suspicious in the library. And she has brought her dog, who is wreaking havoc in the library. And they have a super sweet kind of little chat, where Selena apologizes for how crazy she's been acting lately, and Dorian says, I understand. And from the way her eyes softened, he knew that was all he'd ever needed to say. Aww. Another point for Dorian for being able to move past the fact that she dumped him not that long ago, really. And because despite all of the things that have been going on between the two of them, he understands that she needs someone because she's got no friends now, so she needs someone to be able to talk to, and he is willing to be that person. And I think that's really sweet of him. And if we're being honest, Dorian could use a friend too, because he's keeping some hella secrets right now, and it would be nice if he could tell someone about them. Next up we get a Kale POV, and he is also in the library. He's looking for the head librarian because he wants to find out about the song that Selena was singing at Nehemia's grave last night. However, as he is searching for this dude, he spots Selena and Dorian, and they are yapping away, and he is pleased that they both have someone to talk to, but also he's low-key really sad because he wants to be the one talking to Selena.
Aww.
He does eventually find the librarian, who's giving angry NPC. He's all like,
Grr, some beast has stolen my scroll. He must be punished.
I don't know what that voice was. Don't ask.
Grr, maybe it's that stranger who comes in here at all hours of the night wandering around in a cloak. They must be stopped. You must send someone. Please, please, Captain.
Kale's all like, can't. Sorry, the dungeons are full. Anyways, back to me. Kale, first up. That is not how dungeons work, surely. You can't just stop putting criminals in there once they fill up, you know? Imagine if someone was like caught unaliving people and they were like,
Oh, we can't actually put them in the dungeons because they're full. So they're just gonna have to go unpunished.
I don't think that's how it works, buddy. And even though I know that that's just an excuse because you don't want to listen to his complaining, we probably should be using our listening ears, because doesn't that sound a bit suspicious to you, Kale? There's some random person in a cloak walking around at all hours of the night looking suspicious in the library? Because it's sounding pretty suspicious to me. Also, you're supposed to be the captain of the guard. You should be listening for this suspicious activity and then acting on it, no? Not just being like, nah, sorry, actually I'm on a side quest to find out about whatever this song is that my ex-girlfriend was singing at her bestie's grave, so I cannot help you with your possible criminal problem. I don't think that's really how this works, I hate to say it. Anyway, he asks this scholar if he knows anything about funeral dirges from Terrasen that are sung in different languages. And the scholar is like, no, there aren't any. But I once heard that in the High Court of Terrasen, when the nobility died, they sang their laments in the language of the Fae. Oh, interesting. Why would Selena be singing a song to Nehemia's grave that was only known by the nobility in Terrasen? Interesting. Kale's like, oh, okay. Maybe everyone knew of these dirges, but only the nobility and royalty were like allowed to use them. But obviously, because Nehemia is a princess, Selena thought that that was fine, and so she sung it for Nehemia. So he asks the scholar if everyone knew them, and the scholar was like, nah, no way. They were learnt and sung in secret, so only the nobility knew of them or what they sounded like and how to sing them at all. Nobody else knew it. So that's shot that theory down. And to this, Kale is like, right. This means that Selena is the daughter of a Terrasen nobleman.
Oh my god!
Awesome! Great! Regardless of what territory her parents had lorded over, if Selena ever took up the mantle she'd lost, and if Terrasen ever got to its feet, then Selena could become a powerhouse, potentially capable of standing against Adeline. And that made Selena more than just his enemy. It made her the greatest threat he'd ever encountered. Okay, Cal. Rein it in, buddy. Rein it in. It's a little dramatic, don't you think? Oh. Moving on. Chapter 39. We have a Selena POV. She's gone to have dinner with Dorian. Alliteration. I believe this is the first time we've actually described Dorian's room. It's this tiny little tower room, and it's super cute and super cozy and really messy. There are books everywhere because he's a bookworm, you know. Dorian reveals some shocking information during this dinner. He dresses himself. Crazy, I know. And Selena is flabbergasted because he's so fashionable, she just assumed that someone else was doing it for him. But no, he is a fashionista. Dorian cuts straight to the chase after revealing this shocking news, and he asks Selena why she's really come to dinner with him when she's been actively avoiding him for like a freaking month. So, Dorian said quietly, "Can I ask why you decided to join me for dinner? You've made it pretty clear that you didn't want to spend any time with me, and I thought you had work to do tonight." Actually, she'd been downright awful to him, but he kept his back to her, as though the question didn't matter. And she didn't quite know why the words came out, but she spoke the truth anyway. Because I have nowhere else to go. Oh, Selena, you're gonna make me cry. Please. I feel so sad for her. I just want to give her a hug. And Dorian feels the same because he responds with, then you will always have a place here. Another point for Dorian. What a nice guy. He knows that she's at just the lowest point she could possibly be at. And he's like, you know what? She just really needs a freaking friend. I fear that now is the time to announce that I have officially entered my Dorian Defender era. I love this man now. He can do no wrong. He is wonderful. He is cool. He is the moment. We love Dorian. That was meant to be a love heart. I am still mad at him for nearly unaliving that dog, though. Forgive but never forget. They have a very pleasant meal, and we hop over to Dorian's POV just so that he can tell us he is low-key glad that she hates Kale now. Inside thought, Dorian. Inside thought. Real, though. But don't voice that one. The next afternoon, Selena heads back to the tomb to grill Mort some more on the whole riddle situation. And he's all like, I don't know, maybe you should go and see a seer or an oracle or something if you want an instant answer. I don't know why he's speaking like that. It's just the vibe I get from him, you know? But anyway, at this, Selena's like, wait a minute. That's actually a pretty good idea. And Mort is all like, whatever you're thinking, it's probably a bad idea. And Selena's like, yeah, you're probably right. And so she skips away to go and see Baba Yellowlegs. La 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 la.
Huh.
Mort was right. It is a bad idea. As she arrives, the carnival's just being taken down, all of the tents and stuff, they're all being put down, and Baba Yellowlegs is sitting at the top of the steps of her wagon caravan situation, smoking a pipe. She immediately knows where Selena is from, so we know that she's legit, and they barter over how much Selena's going to give her for answers. Until Selena decides that this was a stupid idea, and she turns to leave, and Baba Yellowlegs makes the stupid mistake of saying, the prince gave me 4 coins.
Oh my gosh!
I'm not even sorry. At this, Selena knows, so she's a snitch. So that's how it's gonna be. Okay. Then, Baba Yellowlegs further digs her own grave by offering to sell Selena the questions that Dorian asked.
Oh no.
Selena's like, right. So, she braids her hair back, checks her weapons, and offers Baba Yellowlegs 6 gold coins for answers to any of the questions she has, and for her silence about Dorian's questions, so she will not sell them to anyone. Why do I have a feeling that just isn't gonna matter? Yellowlegs agrees, and they head into her caravan, which is freaky, by the way. This caravan is massive, much bigger than it should be when you look at the outside. You know, you get in and it's like, okay, how did this all fit in there? And the inside is filled with mirrors. It's like this massive maze of mirrors. So they walk through all these mirrors to a nice little cozy seating area with this oven in it. Okay. And Selena asks Baba Yellowlegs about the riddle. And Yellowlegs is super shocked when she hears it. She informs Selena that the riddle describes the locations of the 3 word keys that are needed to open the word gate. Right. Sure.
We know what you're going on about, Baba Yellowlegs. For sure.
Now, brace yourselves, because what we're about to get into is some lore. Okay? Baba Yellowlegs explains that Aurelia is not the only world that is out there. There are actually realms on top of realms on top of realms, and the word keeps them all separate. Word gates allow things to pass between these realms. However, a long time ago, the Valg, which were those demon things that bred with Fae to make witches, got through one of the word gates and tried to take over Aurelia. And to do this, they had taken a piece of a word gate and split it into 3 keys, a key for each of the Valg kings. So there are 3 Valg kings, which then allowed them to open up that word gate whenever they wanted to and let whoever they wanted to through. The Fae then learned of this, and they stole the word keys from the kings in order to win this war. After this Fae queen called Maeve, who's relevant in the next book, used the keys to banish the Valg back to where they came from. Okay? Are we all on the same page? Are we all keeping up? We know what's going on. Yeah? Okay. Maeve could not work out how to destroy the keys or put them back into the word gate, so she sent them off with Bran and Galathinius, the first king of Terrasen, to hide. What have we learnt from this? The riddle is a map to the 3 word keys that open and close the word gate that allows a passage to form between realms. Yeah? I think that's what that is. Woo. Baba Yellowlegs also tells Selena that whoever has all 3 of the word keys is basically all powerful. But because the keys are actually just power themselves, having even one makes you super powerful. And at this point, it clicks to Selena that the king probably has at least one of the word keys. Which, yeah, that tracks, and Baba Yellowlegs does confirm that that does make sense. So, uh-oh, this is bad. But it does explain why the king was able to gain such power and influence as quickly as he did. Okay, that's the end of the lore. You can all relax now. Moving on. While all this lore dumping was going on, Baba Yellowlegs has managed to sneak off and disappear into the mirror maze that's inside this caravan. Oh. Here I was, thinking we were having a grand time, Selena said, taking another step.
Bah! You can have a grand time when your guest is planning to kill you.
Selena smiled.
Isn't that why you're moving toward the door?
What was this voice that I'm doing? Yellowlegs went on.
Not to escape.
I'm sorry. I need to be more high-pitched, I guess.
Not to escape.
No, that sounds worse. I've just got to power through. I've committed now. That's the voice that Baba Yellowlegs has.
Not to escape, but to make sure I don't get past your clever, wicked...
That was better. That was better, guys. I think we've perfected it. Anyway, that was the end of the quote I wanted to read. Uh-oh. Anyway, Selena's been exposed. She is planning on unaliving Baba Yellowlegs. Oh, Baba Yellowlegs was going to sell Dorian's secrets to whoever was going to pay enough, so I guess she's got to go. Sorry, girl. However, this task is proving much more difficult than Selena originally thought, because these mirrors are throwing up some crazy illusions, which causes Selena to attack the wrong one, and then Baba Yellowlegs comes out from behind her and clocks her around the head with a chain. Ouch. And Selena isn't knocked out for long, but when she wakes up, Baba Yellowlegs has tied her arms behind her back and taken all of her weapons, but Selena cannot be stopped because she is the best to ever do it. So she headbutts Baba Yellowlegs and shimmies out of those chains like she does this every single day. And she low-key does because this is kind of her job. Selena finds an axe on the wall and is like, great, that'll do me. So she grabs it and just starts smashing all the mirrors so that she can find the real Baba Yellowlegs. And she does. Woo! And Baba Yellowlegs comes at her like a freaky little spider. She like scuttles forward. Ugh. Ugh. They end up having a fight, but Selena inevitably wins and chops Baba Yellowlegs' head off, and then she burns her in her own oven. All in a day's work for Selena Sardokian. We then get a Kale POV, and he has gone to talk to Selena because he just can't stand the tension between them any longer, but when he gets to her room, she isn't there. So, naturally, he snoops at the papers that she's left on her desk, and he finds her will, which reveals that she plans on leaving literally everything she owns to him, including a whole ass apartment in Rifthold. Damn. As he's gaping at this paper in shock and bewilderment, Selena sneaks up behind him and informs him that she does not plan on changing it, despite everything that's changed between them. Kale knows that Selena's really left it to him, so that if he ever did get fired, he wouldn't have to go back to his dad to ask for help. Which is very sweet of her. But then she tells him to get out, so he does, and then he goes and hides in a broom closet and cries. Oh! It's rough, buddy. I am sad for him, but I still am of the mindset that he brought this on himself. Moving on to chapter 43. It's Selena's POV. And about an hour after the Kale incident, Selena heads down into the secret library armed with weapons and also a spell that can unlock any door that she found in a freaky book called The Walking Dead. She is on a mission to unlock that iron door and find out what is behind it, just in case it has anything to do with the king's plans for the word key. The spell works. Yay! And the iron door opens to reveal a very spooky hallway with all these cell-like iron doors lining the hallway that are all locked. So, I'm scared. It's giving like secret prison dungeon. Luckily, her brain cells turned on briefly, and she does not try to open any of the freaky cell doors because she gets super bad vibes from them. But she does open the next iron door at the end of that hallway, which then leads to even more cells, but this time it's shorter and it also curves round. And it turns out that there are like 5 of these hallways that are filled with these freaky iron cell doors that are all locked, except every time she opens a new door, the hallway that's revealed is shorter and it curves round more. So it makes like this downward spiral. And as I was saying, all of these cells are locked until she gets to the 6th door, which she opens to reveal that the passage behind is demolished. Now, in this passageway, there are only 3 cells, and the 3rd cell's door has been smashed open from the inside. Someone has escaped! The prisoner is escaping! Except he's already escaped, and we don't know where he is. Selena's all like, yikes! Anyways, on to the next door. She just moves right on and heads for the final iron door, which is hanging precariously off of its hinges. This is pretty ominous, and it gets even more ominous because as she is approaching this iron door, she starts getting this banging headache, and rather than another passageway this time, the door reveals this massive spiral staircase going up. And as she's going up this massive spiral staircase, this headache gets worse and worse and worse. But she's like, I've gotta be nearly there, I've just gotta push through. Until she reaches the top of the staircase. And she finds herself inside this huge, massive chamber situation that's made entirely of obsidian. Now, this obsidian looks eerily similar to the rings that the king wears and Parrington wears and Roland wears and the one that Kane was wearing. All of the boys' club. It's looking very similar to those rings. And when she reaches out a hand to touch this obsidian chamber wall, it makes her head hurt so bad, she literally gags. And then, just to top it all off, the big huge chamber that she's in starts making this loud booming noise. And this is when she realizes that she is in fact inside of the freaky clock tower in the castle courtyard. Who'd have thunk? This is crazy!